Warning. The following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
Welcome back to Hazardous Materials, Eating Good in the Neighborhood. I'm Gideon Gonzalez, and joining with me as always,
Jason Johnson.
And this week, we all have seen The Black Widow at this point.
Yes.
And I'm sure some of y'all out there want some reading recommendations or just want to know a little bit more about some of those more obscure characters that might have popped up in the movie. So today we're going to be covering 3 of the bigger players in there.
Yeah, we're going to dodge the 4th because it's a spoiler.
We'll see. So, first off, the Red Guardian, who is being played by David Harbour, beloved Hopper of Stranger Things.
Who has recently said that he would love to play the character again.
Well, if they follow the events of Avengers number 43, I don't know what's going to happen.
Cards, yes.
So, in this Roy Thomas Sal Buscema joint, Red Guardian makes his debut, where he is the husband of the Black Widow, and meets a grisly end by the issue's end.
Yeah, the KGB basically fakes his death. And then, Natalia Romanoff, later Natasha Romanoff, goes off to becomes the super spy that is the Black Widow, which at the time was a villain for the Avengers comics. And then this Red Guardian guy shows up because they couldn't use Yuri Gagarin because now he's a cosmonaut. So this mysterious anti-Captain America shows up. Red Guardian doesn't use a shield, uses a magnetic belt buckle.
Very cool.
I guess you got to make belt buckles cool somehow.
He goes pew pew.
Yeah, it goes pew pew. And our boy Red Guardian is all about the proletariat. Is it the proletariat? Am I doing this right?
You are correct.
I'm not very good at my old communist.
So, good old
propaganda.
Alexei Shostakov, very short-lived.
Well done on the
Thank
name.
you. And he is the first of many Red Guardians. They go through 6? Yeah, because he's technically the second one because they retcon in one in Invaders.
Yeah,
being,
he
a World War
basically
II Red Guardian.
he joins up with the Invaders right around the tail end of World War II, and then I guess he has a story where he fights against the now all-star squadron because they're not the Invaders anymore because he's works for the USSR. And then he is promptly killed during the purge of the 50s. Oh, there was one thing. He insulted Captain America, who at this time was Captain America 2. The guy, the
Commie
Patriot.
Smasher.
Yes. And he says, "You've gotten slow on your age." Because he wasn't, he's not Steve Rogers.
It's the crazy one.
Yeah. And then, of course, he probably gets killed. So there's no big deal.
So, yeah. So they constantly were trying to introduce a new Red Guardian. Steve Gerber and... I want to say John Buscema created the female Red Guardian in the pages of Defenders.
Defenders 35.
And I think they just kind of forgot she existed because Mark Grunwald and Kieran Dwyer in their legendary Captain America run. This is my personal favorite Red Guardian story where Cap goes over to Russia and he has to team up with Red Guardian to solve a case. And there's a really good exchange where Cap goes, "Well, in my country, heroes serve the people, not the state." And Red Guardian hits him back with, "But in my country, he's one and the same." And Cap's like, "You got me there, commie."
You did.
I really liked him a lot. I like that era of this because he's introduced with the new Soviet super soldiers, and that's got Vanguard, Dark Star, my boy Ursa Major, who's a bear and just has a Marvel Legends figure now. He's a Build-A-Figure in an Iron Man wave. And I'm like, I don't want any of these damn Iron Mans, but I want that big bear.
Yeah. Oh, the Defenders I was thinking about, that's Red Guardian 3. We got to get our numbers right here.
She is the second to be, well, I guess
the second to be released, chronologically, but in the canon, she's the third.
Yeah, and then my boy is the 4th,
right?
Joseph, and then Vanguard, who is like the Thor of the Soviet super soldiers,
and the master of like Kevin Bacon's split haircut.
Yes, precisely. He had a hammer and sickle instead of just a hammer.
Yeah.
He was number 5, and I think we're on. So I'm not sure who 6 is right now. I wanted to say it was still Vanguard, but I might be wrong.
It's a man. It is Vanguard. I think
Vanguard's still kicking.
because they mentioned it by name.
Because there was a pretty good Winter Guard 3-issue mini that came out a few years ago. Because they renamed them from the Soviet Super Soldiers to the Winter Guard.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good. And they have a new book coming out, I think, next month. I was going to try out the first issue.
And that's the one that's got that new Hulk in it?
No, that's a main Avengers book.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, Winter Guard is going to be unrelated.
Okay.
And so I guess going back to Alexei, though. Because Alexei's story didn't necessarily end with him getting blown up. Because an LMD of him was running around for a few years in everyone's favorite cast-off laundry, the Ronin identity.
Yeah, speaking of cast-offs, back to Red Guardian 3. We're just going to jump all over this place. She actually came up in a new identity of Starlight in the Ultimate Cast-Off series, which is Quasar. If you've got something and Marvel's forgotten about it, put it in Quasar.
Mark Grunwald loved his continuity.
Yeah.
I really want to go back and reread all of Quasar.
And that's where the new universe found its new breath, was in Quasar.
Grunwald loved that stuff.
That's where Barry Allen showed up.
Buried Alien.
I love that issue.
So, back on topic. So there was a series of really good Hawkeye and Mockingbird books done by Jim McCann and David Lopez. And one of those was Widowmaker, which crossed over with the Black Widow book that was going on at the same time. And the premise of that was that Alexei, an LMD of him, has been running around as Ronin, which gets the attention of Hawkeye, since Hawkeye was once running around in those digs.
Yes.
And so the trio, the recently reunited Hawkeye and Mockingbird, have to team up with Black Widow to take down the robot of Black Widow's ex-husband.
Yes.
Who apparently has been doing all these crazy machinations and behind-the-scenes assassin stuff in Russia for years.
We're basically trying to conjure up a new Winter Soldier storyline.
Basically.
But not everybody can be Brubaker.
Well, I still love... It's definitely the weakest, I think, of those Jim McCann Hawkeye minis, but it's still a good time and worth reading. I'd highly recommend checking it out. And I've got one more Alexei story I want to talk about.
All right, let's hear it.
This one, I mentioned it to you before and you weren't familiar with it.
Yeah.
But in the Ultimate Galactus trilogy, we're going to the Ultimate Universe. So this is Ultimate Red Guardian.
I'm really rusty when it comes to the Ultimates. I just know Ultimatum because it was really gross. And I know that Ultimate Spider-Man is Miles.
Ultimate Galactus is really fun. So the first, it's 3 trades worth. And the first one focuses on the Avengers, or the Ultimates, investigating something that has lit up over in Russia. And so they go to, what was the nuclear site?
Tunguska.
They go to Tunguska.
Oh no, Tunguska's that's where the asteroid hit. You're thinking of Chernobyl.
Yes, they go to Chernobyl, which it turns out has been used to hide a crashed Herald of Galactus.
This is the Silver Surfer.
It is the Ultimate Vision, who is a lady robot, and it warns of Galactus, and the Russians have been reverse engineering tech from, so she's just like a torso and an arm at this point.
Yeah. You can't let the Russians get a hold of you.
Guarding her is the Ultimate Red Guardian, who is absolutely feral. He is a madman. His shield is covered in people bits. He's really gnarly looking. He's got a big old gross beard, and he's like, "Finally, Captain America, I can test my mettle." And he takes a swing at Cap, and Cap puts his shield up, and Alexei has not gotten the name brand Super Soldier Serum, so he's got the strength, but no invulnerability, and his arm liquefies as he hits the shield, just...
That's typical Ultimate stuff.
Yeah, it is a gnarly image that has stuck with me since I read the book like 15 years ago.
What always struck me about the Ultimate series is it felt like it was a starting off point for younger readers to catch on.
And yet
it became a really gruesome timeline.
It's fascinating to see the evolution of it, because Ultimate Spider-Man is a very good intro for kids. But then every other title wasn't.
No.
They just didn't get the memo.
The Ultimatum itself was horrifying.
Yeah. A nightmare situation.
And how about all the X-Men they killed? I know we're getting off topic here, but man.
A lot of X-Men died. And so did our beloved Alexei, just like his mainstream counterpart.
Well, I mean, the arm thing.
And there was no LMD to
There's no LMDs in this world to scoop you up and give you new life. But I mean, I don't think we're gonna see the end of our boy Alexei because this Black Widow movie is a thing, and LMDs like to LMD.
That's true.
And there's an LMD. I'm sure they're waiting at LMD.
And you know who loves to kill LMDs?
Huh.
Our friend Tony Masters, the Taskmaster.
Yes. A personal favorite of mine.
Making his debut in the pages of Avengers 195 or 196, depending on... I'm personally a man who believes cameos are first appearances, so it's 195 for me.
I'm a full fan of full appearances, especially since he's on the cover of this one.
But he's on the last page of 195. He is named. He
True.
is there. A full page spread.
But I still think then you would find more value in the cameo appearance of Wolverine and Hulk versus his first full appearance, which is where the money is.
Yeah. It's Hulk 180 is the real first appearance of Wolverine. You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
But anyways,
full appearance.
This is a David Michelini and the legendary George Perez team up. And
my heart goes to George Perez.
It's one of my favorite things is when he jumps ship to go do Teen Titans. He's like, oh, I'm doing an assassin, master, killer, one of the greatest fights in DC Universe. We're going to do orange and blue with pirate boots again. Yep. Pirate boots and chainmail, baby.
Yeah, those Buccaneer boots are always a go-to for our boy Perez.
It's you know what? Deathstroke and Taskmaster, both great looks.
And you know, he's still rocking that look now.
Yeah. A little bit of tweaks over the years, but on the whole, it's the same.
They tried to shake it off with the Udon miniseries.
Which we'll get to.
Well, we'll get to that. But I mean, when it was all said and done, it was all back to the skull mask and the cowl. And
yeah. So our good boy Tasky, he romps the Avengers, just makes fools of them.
And then gets away.
And then, he bounces. And he comes back in arguably one of the most iconic Avengers covers of all time. When Hawkeye and Ant-Man team up, somebody's going to get it.
Yeah, which was in an MCU. They pulled this stunt off in MCU. It was great.
And there's a really fun callback to these two issues in the Nick Spencer run on Ant-Man. There's a bit where Scott Lang says, Taskmaster, my arch nemesis. And Taskmaster just like, wait, what?
I don't even know you.
Exactly. He's like, what? We fought like 3 times because Scott Lang was present in both of those early Taskmaster
I remember this.
And in a Marvel team up with Spidey.
He's like, that was you?
He's like, I'm going to be honest with you. That was just like, he does the bison thing. For you, the day you fought Taskmaster, the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, that's basically what happens is you just busted my school and ruined my week.
And Tasky kind of finds his niche in the Marvel Universe of training henchmen. Yeah,
he's all about the henchman training, which I always found kind of strange because his ability is photographic reflexes, which you probably know if you've seen the movie. We're not really sure how he's going to be treated authentically because all we've really ever seen is the trailer. And we know this episode's going to come out after everyone's seen the movie. But yeah, he watches it and he can duplicate it. But I mean, does he have a true understanding of what he's seeing and can he teach it? Obviously, the answer is yes, because that's what he does in the Marvel Universe.
Exactly. And you don't really get a good solo picture of Taskmaster again until those Udon books that you mentioned. And there's a 4-issue miniseries which dovetails into what I think is, and I think that Udon series is fine. It's mostly great for the art, and it's a
great lead into Agent X.
I love Taskmaster's design in it. It's
absolutely.
phenomenal.
This is actually one of my favorite outfits of his.
But I was gonna say it dovetails cleanly into Gail Simone's Deadpool and Agent X runs, where Taskmaster's a major supporting character. And I think we'll really start to see some of the more modern Taskmaster stuff come out. Because he'd always been kind of a smarmy jerk before, but it really turns up to 11 and really emphasizes that he's a blue-collar supervillain, which is my favorite thing about
Absolutely.
him.
There's no doubt about it that the Taskmaster is from the Bronx.
Yeah, he's a guy who he's doing it for the cash. If Iron Man can outbid the Red Skull, he's like, all right, good. We're done. Out of here. Bye.
Yeah, because John Walker was trained by Taskmaster to fight like Captain America.
Exactly. A great tie there. And going from the Deadpool series, if you want to continue, and what I think is Taskmaster's best showing. Casey disagrees with me on this. But my personal favorite is the 4-issue Fred Van Lent and, make sure I get the name right, Hefte Palo, Taskmaster, I think it's Unkillable is the subtitle, but I'm 100% sure on that. It's the 2011 series.
It's the second miniseries.
And it is a hoot. It dives into Taskmaster's backstory, sets up that he is essentially a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent the way his powers work is that he's overriding his actual memories with the knowledge of all these fighting skills. And they also that's kind of where they make it canon that Finesse is his daughter, because they kind of danced around the idea.
They still dance around it. And, this book was great because it did root him in being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, deep cover S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. But this is where it completely goes off the rails. And when I say this, I need to emphasize just how much I absolutely love Next Wave.
I was about to say, it is a Next Wave tier.
It is Next Wave tier. It goes off the assumption that every single villainous organization, Hydra, AIM, Ultimatum, Serpent Society, you name it, if it's an organization, it's under this thing. Was it called the Org?
Something like that.
Or something along those lines. And it's just ridiculous.
I want to give a little shout out to issue number 3, which is the issue that made me pick it up, because it had the amazing subtitle, "The Town That Was Hitler," in which
that's pretty much when you've just gone headlong
a horde
into nuts
of Hitler LMDs. But the true villain of this piece,
oh my god,
is the Minions International Liberation Front. I had to make sure I got the acronym right. And like many in the tradition of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, and Hammer,
and Ultimatum.
We
Go
have.
on. Why don't you show off everybody and tell everybody what Ultimatum stands for?
I'm gonna mess it up this time.
Yes,
the Ultimate Liberated, Totally Integrated Mobile Army to Unite Mankind.
Now, this is the organization that Flag Smasher actually ran. Flag Smasher, of course, it became a group of people that was the main villain for the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I can't believe I got that twice in one night. Oh my god!
I was really impressed with it the first time, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to put it on the internet.
But yes, in the grand tradition of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, and Ultimatum, we have MILF.
Yes, we have MILF.
Led by Taskmaster's greatest student, the most powerful goon in the Marvel Universe, Red Shirt. And I don't think it's a spoiler to a hint at what his fate is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason why I have such a strong opinion about this is because Taskmaster for me is like the number 2 favorite villain.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see him, to me, waste an entire 4-issue miniseries on something that's clearly not going to be canon when everything is said and done, it got on my nerves. But we were redeemed by this 3rd series that came out.
The Jed McKay book, which is really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's less goofy than the Van Lent book. And
more leaning into the movie, because it's really all about Taskmaster trying to do stuff while running away from Black Widow.
It opens up with a great sequence of him being hired to be the second for a charity golf event by a billionaire. I love mundane uses of Taskmaster's powers like that. Like in Avengers Academy, his daughter Finesse watches Heisman footage before they play flag football, which is a great bit.
And did you see who he beat?
Oh no, who was at the event? Was it Tiger Woods?
Bullseye.
Bullseye
had been hired by another guy, and apparently, Taskmaster knows what he's doing. And Bullseye, he's accurate, but he's not a golfer. Taskmaster is a golfer because he watched Tiger Woods.
And it's got the great reveal that Taskmaster's his ringtone is 9 to 5. A true proletariat champion.
Because he's the working man.
Yeah.
He's the working man. He's a champion of the working class villain.
Dolly Parton's own.
Dolly Parton is an American treasure.
Yeah, American icon. But you know who's not an American icon?
Who's that?
A Russian. Not quite icon status yet, but I think she'll get there. I'm, of course, referring to Yelena Bolanova, the second Black Widow, to be portrayed by Florence Pugh, one of my favorite current actors. If you haven't seen Midsommar, go watch it. It's great.
Oh, God. Midsommar will get you. I mean, most horror is done in the darkness. We all fear the darkness. But Midsommar is broad daylight horror.
Yes.
And it's actually, I'm not a horror fan, but I have a friend of mine who went to film school at NYU, and she says, I saw Midsommar and you absolutely need to see it. So I sat and I did it. I actually watched it during the daytime, and it was chilling.
I love that movie, and I'm excited to see what she brings to the MCU. But yeah, Yelena Bolanova isn't a character I'm particularly care about, so I'm hoping that she can make me care about her.
I think it's one of those characters that is going to translate better in the MCU versus than the comic books.
I think so, because there's not a lot of Yelena content. So she first shows up during Devin Grayson's tenure on the Marvel Knights Black Widow book with J.G. Jones on art duties. And it's fine. I'm not a huge Black Widow guy. I read them and I was like, it is what it is. But that's honestly her biggest story. Because the thing that I first read with her, and I think, was it also your introduction to her?
Well, kind of, because I also read that. It kind of got my attention. I'm always a big... I'm always intrigued by new versions of heroes. When I saw there was another Black Widow, I was like, okay, are they really passing the gavel or whatever the phrase is to this new character? And I liked her look, but then it turned out just to be bleh.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Black Widow fan, I must admit. So
and then we thought, oh, hey, Thunderbolts.
Yeah, and she was really cool in Thunderbolts.
She's
really,
part of that Sam Fisher face.
I love the Andy Diggle run on Thunderbolts with like Headsman and Mr. X and my boy Eric O'Grady.
Ghost,
awesome in that book. And so this is during Dark Reign. So this is while Norman Osborn is off running the Avengers. This is the side Thunderbolts team, and Yelena is their field leader. Until it's revealed that she's actually Black Widow, or like. Obviously, she's Black Widow.
She's Natasha the entire
Natasha
time.
In a blonde wig with big goggles to hide her face as a plant from Nick Fury. And I guess there's probably also some like face tech hiding her. I remember being a kid and seeing the big reveal and being like, well, this is a lot less cool.
Yeah, because we didn't really need that. There was no payday involved in that, except, oh, this is a nice, neat way of wrapping it up because now we've got Nick Fury's girl in there just to basically whack the entire team. And I do believe that Headsman got...
Yeah, but to be fair, you remember what Headsman's deal was, right?
I forget.
He was Scourge, the Executioner.
Oh, that's right.
Because
he was one of them.
Because this was right after right around the time the Asgardians were like being reincarnated.
Yeah.
And so that was his reincarnation, was the Headsman.
Oh, that's the Scourge we're talking about. I thought we were talking about the Scourge of the Underworld.
No, not Scourge the Underworld. No, Scourge the Executioner.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's why Headsman's whole deal was chopping people's heads off.
That makes so much sense now.
It was a really good twist. I really liked it.
Because I heard about the Scourge. I was like, well, does it matter if he was one of the part of the Scourge? Because the Scourge was more than just one person. I don't know if you know this about the Scourge of the Underworld. And I feel like we're probably going to get off on a tangent. Yeah. You know what? That can wait. We'll get that. We'll get to that.
More importantly, though,
we can do an entire episode on Scourge.
Oh, God. Any chance to revisit the Groonies, I'm always about.
Yep.
But you had mentioned you think that Yelena is going to be a major part of the Thunderbolts, which I feel like second to Mephisto is the number one thing people keep speculating on.
Yeah, they've already pretty much mentioned the fact that Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character's appearance and the Falcon Winter Soldier, before COVID hit, was intended to be her second hit. You know, this was her scooping up U.S. agent for her team, where she had already recruited Yelena Belova as the new Black Widow.
The all new, all different Black Widow.
Yeah, because, I mean, Natasha's not long for this world, and Scarlett Johansson has been starting publicly claiming, you know, like, I'm done with this.
She's got a short trip off a long cliff on
Yeah,
Vormir.
So, I mean, if we get Black Widow movies, it's going to be Yelena, and I think that Yelena's going to be part of the new Thunderbolts team.
I think that's for the best. I think we get a clean slate. I personally I think Florence Pugh's a much stronger performer than Scarlett Johansson, but that's just me.
I don't have an opinion one way or another.
I'm excited to see what they do with her. And there is a long history of the MCU adapting comics that I did not particularly enjoy and making me really love the stories. See Civil War. And I think that having a character who is as much a blank slate as Yelena is would help that. And she's back in the books right now. She's going to be, they're doing a Winter Guard series where it's going to be her on the run with the current Red Guardian.
I'm pretty sure that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, synergy.
Yes.
They had a one-shot come out when the movie was supposed to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're getting a full-fledged miniseries because they're like, oh, damn, we got to tie into this again.
Yeah, I was reading an article about this, and they were mentioning the fact that it's been 2 years since we last saw an MCU film.
Wow, and it was Far From Home, so it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay, don't listen to this man. Far From Home was awesome. Speaking of Spider-Man, did you see the stuff that I was talking about the No Way Home stuff?
Yeah, and the ugly costumes.
I don't think they're ugly.
Hideous. Why we keep trying to reinvent the wheel on Spider-Man's costume, I'll never know. You got it in one. It's like the Flash costume. The more stuff you add to it, the worse it looks.
Well, now that we're talking about it, we're just going to throw this footnote on here before we wrap this thing up. But this is the outfit. Apparently, it's going to be popping up in No Way Home. This is the Doc Ock outfit, the black and
I
gold.
mean, they haven't even named it. We don't know if it's going to be a Doc Ock outfit.
Well, apparently, it's got its connections with the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game, and that was
that seems a tenuous tie at best.
Oh
to
no,
me.
man! I think it's got legs.
Octopus legs.
Oh, I see what you did there.
But yeah, taking Miles' costume and slapping gold instead of the red.
That's not what they did.
It's 100% Miles' costume, but with gold instead of red. You
don't
look at
know
those
what
two
you're
and they're the
talking
same
about.
damn
You are
thing.
smoking peyote.
They keep taking Miles' stuff and slapping it on Peter, and I'm sick of it. I got my problems with Spider-Man.
Don't make me come over there.
Too bad. We're wrapping this one.
We're
up.
wrapping this up before it gets violent.
Yeah, fight in the comments over whether or not you like MCU Spider-Man. Follow us on our socials and harass us there about Spider-Man.
Now let
Give
us
us
know
some
in
money
the
on
comments.
Patreon so I can complain about Spider-Man, but for money.
Let us know how wrong Gideon is, because Far From Home was a fine film.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go watch Black Widow in 8 days.
8 days.
See you later.